Steel Tigers of Kherson, Armored Warfare on the Eastern Front. War Tales. The winter of 1944 was merciless across the Ukrainian plains. The city of Kherson, once a quiet hub along the Dnieper River, had become a crucible of fire and steel. German Panthers and Soviet T-34s churned the frozen earth, their iron treads carving scars into farmland now soaked with mud and blood. For both armies, Kherson was more than a city. It was a gateway, a symbol, and for many soldiers, it was the last stretch of ground they would ever fight upon. Captain Friedrich Adler, commander of a German Panther tank, surveyed the horizon from his cupola. Frost clung to his eyelashes as he peered through his binoculars. A line of smoke rose far to the east, black plumes against the pale sky. "Russians," he muttered, voice hoarse from exhaustion. The Soviet push toward Kherson had been relentless for weeks, and each day, Adler's company grew thinner. The Wehrmacht no longer fought for victory here, they fought for survival. Inside the tank, the crew was silent. Loader Kurt sat with a shell cradled against his chest, its metallic surface icy to the touch. Hans, the driver, gripped the controls with white knuckles, his eyes hollow. Even Otto, the normally talkative gunner, spoke little. The Panther had become their coffin, and each engagement felt like nails being hammered into the lid. But Adler's pride in his machine remained unshaken. The Panther was a predator, sleek and deadly, its 75mm KWK gun capable of tearing through the Soviet T-34s at range. Yet the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. Soviet tanks swarmed like wolves, their crews hardened, their spirits unbroken despite staggering losses. On the opposite side of the battlefield, Lieutenant Ivan Morozov sat inside his T-34-85, the engine rumbling beneath him like a beating heart. His crew trusted him implicitly, for Ivan was known not just as a commander but as a survivor. He had fought from Kursk to the Dnieper, his tank scarred but never destroyed. "Comrades," Ivan said as his T-34 lurched forward, "today Kherson falls. And with it, the enemy's grip on Ukraine." His men cheered, though weariness lingered in their voices. Each one carried ghosts, brothers, fathers, friends buried beneath the blackened soil. But their resolve was iron. The Soviet Union demanded their advance, and advance they would, no matter the cost. The snow muffled the thunder of their approach, but soon the horizon glimmered with shapes, German armor waiting like beasts in ambush. Ivan knew the Panther well. Its gun outranged his, its armor resisted his shells. Victory would not come through strength of machine but through cunning and sacrifice. At dawn, the battle began. Artillery screamed overhead, pounding the frozen ground into fountains of earth and fire. Kherson shook as the two armies collided. Adler's Panther roared forward, its gun barking once, twice. Two T-34s erupted into flames, their crew's screams carried on the icy wind. Otto reloaded with practiced swiftness, adrenaline wiping away fatigue. "Hold steady," Adler commanded. "Let them come closer." Across the plain, Ivan spotted the muzzle flashes. "Panther! Bearing north!" he shouted, pointing through the periscope. His driver swerved, mud spraying in arcs as the T-34 accelerated. A shell whistled past, detonating behind them. The shockwave rattled the tank's bones. "Flank them," Ivan barked. "They rely on distance. We'll cut their throats up close." The T-34s maneuvered like a pack of wolves, weaving between shattered trees and burning wrecks. One was torn apart by a direct hit, its turret hurled skyward in a fiery arc. But another slipped around the Panther's side, its gun spitting fire. The shell clanged harmlessly against the Germans' sloped armor, sparks showering the snow. Adler snarled. "Otto, turn the turret, now!" The gun traversed, but too late, the Soviet tank vanished behind a ruined farmhouse. Adler's heart hammered. For every one they killed, two more seemed to rise from the smoke. The battlefield became chaos incarnate. Panthers, Panzers, and Stu-GS locked horns with T-34s and Su-85s, their guns dueling across white fields smeared with crimson. Infantry scurried between tanks, rifles crackling, grenades arcing through the air. The very earth seemed to scream beneath the weight of war. Ivan's T-34 smashed through a hedgerow, snow and splinters flying. "Target the Panther's rear," he ordered. His gunner fired, the shell slamming into Adler's tank with a deafening clang. Inside, the crew reeled as the impact shook their teeth. Damage report. Adler barked. No penetration, Otto gasped, his hands trembling. Then fire back. Adler roared. Their 75mm cannon thundered, striking the T-34 squarely. The Soviet tank staggered, armor denting, but it did not fall. Ivan gritted his teeth. Again. The tanks circled each other, predators locked in a duel of survival. Each shot was life or death, each movement a gamble. Around them, the battle raged on, but in their minds, only this duel mattered. Ivan's tank lurched as another shell slammed into its tracks, immobilizing it. Smoke filled the cabin, choking the crew. Panic flared, but Ivan's voice was steady. "Stay calm. We fight to the end." Adler saw his chance. The Panther advanced, gun trained on the crippled T-34. Victory was within reach. His crew cheered. Finally, something certain in this endless war. But Ivan was not finished. Loader, armor-piercing. Gunner, aim for the joint beneath the turret. The Soviet gun barked. The shell struck the Panther's weakest point, wedging beneath the turret ring. Metal screamed as the mechanism jammed. Adler's face drained of color. His mighty Panther was crippled. "Reverse!" he shouted. Hans slammed the controls, but the treads churned uselessly in the mud. Smoke poured from the engine. They were trapped. Ivan's voice hardened. "Finish them." The final shell smashed through the Panther's side, detonating within. Flames engulfed the German tank, the blast hurling the turret sideways. Inside, Adler and his crew never had a chance to scream. Ivan slumped in his seat, sweat mingling with soot. His tank was broken, his body bruised, but he was alive. Around him, Soviet banners rose over Kherson as the last German tanks retreated in ruin. When the guns finally fell silent, Kherson lay in ruins. Streets were littered with twisted steel, and the Dnieper ran dark with oil and blood. But the Soviets had won. Ivan climbed from his crippled T-34, the cold air biting his lungs. He looked across the battlefield at the smoldering husks of Panthers, Germany's steel tigers, now nothing more than carcasses of war. Victory tasted of ash, for the cost had been terrible, but still they had endured. And somewhere amid the smoke, Adler's Panther burned, its once proud roar silenced forever. The Battle of Kherson had been decided not by numbers or machines alone, but by the unyielding will of men. The steel tigers of the Eastern Front, once feared across Europe, had met their match in the frozen fields of Ukraine. And though the war raged on, Kherson marked another step in the long, bloody road to Berlin.